All right, y'all. So we wrapping it up with part 9 of my Hoodoo Storytime Sleek. If y'all stay with me this far, I do thank y'all so much for hanging in. And we know that our boy Slick done been through some things, okay? So we're going to back up 6 months to when Sabrina left and went back to school. When she gets back to school, she's sad. She misses Slick and she misses Granddaddy Fox and Grandma Bell. She formed a real connection and a real bond with all three of them. When she gets back, Brittany's there because she's doing an internship. Brittany asked her to tell her everything that went down. At first, Sabrina was reluctant because she didn't think that Brittany would believe her. But once she told Brittany the story, tears were in Brittany's eyes, and she said, "Wow, this is true love." She was like, "And you actually gave him the cookie?" Sabrina was like, "Yes, and I don't regret it." Then Brittany goes on to tell her that her slot was still available for the internship because no one took it. So that's when Sabrina went and talked to her professor, and she was able to get the internship. She stayed on campus, and she worked, and she basically just did a lot of journaling, writing, and she still dreamed of Slick like every other night. They did talk occasionally, but it was distant, and she could feel it, and she didn't like it. A couple of weeks had passed, and one morning, Sabrina wakes up and she's sick. She's throwing up. She can't keep anything down. She feels horrible. Days pass and her condition doesn't change. That's when Brittany was like, "Bitch, are you pregnant?" And Sabrina was like, "No way. There's no way." She was like, "I only had sex once in my life and you gonna tell me I'm pregnant? No, I can't be." So Brittany insists. They go and they get 5 pregnancy tests. They do all 5 and all 5 come back positive. Sabrina is shocked and she doesn't know what the hell to do. "Bitch, what you gonna do?" Brittany asked her. And she was thinking the same thing in her mind, like, what the hell am I gonna do? So Sabrina was like, "I don't know." She was like, "I'm gonna keep it. She was like, "I'm not gonna do nothing that I wouldn't want nobody to do to me. So I'm gonna keep it." So Brittany was like, "Well, your secret is safe with me, girl." Oh my gosh. She was just so shocked. She was like, "You can't even come out and party with us anymore." And Sabrina was like, "I'm still the same person, but please don't tell anybody." So a couple of weeks pass, and it's time for Sabrina to go home and visit her family and stay until the new semester starts. When she gets back home, she is so happy to see her family. It's her mom, her dad. She has a younger sister and a younger brother. So she starts to tell her mom about Slick. She starts to tell her mom that she really likes him. She doesn't go into too many details as far as her leaving and going down to South Carolina, but she does tell her mom that she cares for him deeply. And her mom is happy for her. Her mom knows that true love doesn't come around every now and then, but she told her to be careful because it could be real and it couldn't be. Just take her time. So one day while everybody is at the park, Sabrina took her brothers and sisters to the park. Dad's at work and mom is doing some house cleaning. She notices that Sabrina still has a bag full of stuff that she hadn't unpacked. So she decided to open the bag and dump it out. That's when she sees the prenatal vitamins because Sabrina went to the doctor, confirmed that she was pregnant, and was already taking pills. So when her mom seen the prenatal vitamins, her heart dropped. She was like, "Oh my God, you telling me you just met somebody, but you're actually pregnant." So when Sabrina gets back, she confronts her. Sabrina burst out in tears, but didn't try to lie. And when her dad came home, they had a family meeting about it. They were very disappointed in her, but they knew that her life was precious. So they started to work together to figure out what her plan would be. And they were like, "Well, where's the father? And have you told him?" Sabrina was like, "No, I have not told him, and I don't know when I'm going to tell him. It's a lot going on with that, and it's not on his end, but I don't know if I want to tell him." So Sabrina was afraid to tell him because she didn't know if that would make them come back together, and then the crossroad spirit might come after them or their child. So she was just really afraid and confused at this point in her life. The only thing she knew was that she wanted to keep her child, and she thought the baby would be a blessing, but she just wanted everything to work out. She was in love with Slick and she wanted to be with him, but she was willing to sacrifice their love for the love of their child. Her Sabrina and her family decided together that she would go back and she would finish her semester at college, and then when it was time for her to have the child, she would come back home, have the child, and then they would just figure out from there what she would do. But she was determined that she was going to finish school either way. when it was time to go back to school, Sabrina was close to being about 5 months. And she went back to school, and a lot of people knew that she was pregnant. Some people didn't, but she held her head high. She still remained good, having good grades, and she just tried to push forward. Then the day came when Grandma Bell called her to check on her, and they were talking, and then she heard when Slick came in, and then instead of him asking to speak to her, Grandma Bell said that they would call her back. So that had her really worried. She was thinking about everything, and she talked to Brittany about it, and Brittany was like, you need to go down there. You need to talk to them face to face. You need to tell them the truth. This is his child too. He has the right to know. So that's when Brittany decided to go down that following weekend. So meanwhile, back in South Carolina, Slick was, he was going through a rebirth. He actually thought back to what the tarot card reader had said. It was like the old version of him had died, and the new version of him was back and better than ever. But he also did go through a period of going through over his life. He wasn't the best person growing up. Once he became an adult, he got into rugs, selling rugs, and he had a few people that lost their lives. He wasn't like a notorious thug that would just go out here and hunt people down, but he did do some things that wasn't that good. So as he's going over his life and going over everything that has happened to him, he fell to his knees and he cried. And he asked for forgiveness from God and his ancestors. And then he gave gratitude to them. He made a promise that if he had ever got his gifts back, that he would do good and he would use his gifts for good and not evil. And he meant that. He already had gotten out of the game, and knowing in his heart that he had a child coming, he wanted to make sure that he was the best person that he could be. Everything seemed like it came back full circle for him because he thought about his life when he was a slave and how he never got to meet his son. And he wanted to make sure this time that he would be in his child's life and that he would do the right thing as a man. Grandma Bell's heart was full with joy. She was happy that she would be having a great grandchild, and she was also happy that her grandson had got his gifts back. She told Slick, she said, it was always in you, and I knew it. I knew it was a way that your gifts would come back to you. And she said, and with this crossroad spirit, if you want to be with Sabrina, and I know you want to be with Sabrina because she is carrying your child, she said, you have the power within you to get that crossroad spirit to go away and never come back. This time you are in control of your life. This time you got all the pieces that you need. You put the puzzle together, baby. And now it's time for you to act on that. She said, I want to be with you when you confront this thing, but you don't need me now. You got enough power, enough wisdom, and you got the backings from me and your ancestors to make this happen. You don't need me. All you got to do is be yourself because the truth and the power is within you. Grandma Bell had also been researching that shell. Ever since she touched it, she couldn't get it off of her mind, y'all. She kept flipping through the grimoire, and she did come to a page that it was like a folk tale, a tale that had been passed down through the family for generations. And it had an origin story about the shell, and Grandma Bell believed that the shell she was holding in her hands was the shell that they was talking about. So the lore behind the shell was that a meteorite fell to Earth centuries ago. And once it fell to Earth and broke up into pieces, parts of it ended up at the bottom of the ocean, y'all. The shell absorbed the energy of the ocean. Anything that was going on and anything that was happening in the ocean, the shell absorbed it. For example, the slaves that threw themselves over the boats and refused to be taken into slavery, their energy was there. Anything that was going on in the ocean, the shell was able to absorb this energy. So basically, it absorbed the energy of the sea, the tides, and the energy of life force itself. And that's where the ancestral power came from. The shell itself was a key to helping unlock gifts that these ancestors already had. It just had to fall into the hands of the right gifted person. And in this case, that was Slick. Now y'all come back for part 10, the final chapter. Peace.